All right, what's up, everybody? This is your boy Big Brother Ace, and I'm want to bring the Carolina Frat House podcast to you today to talk about our free agency offense moves. It's not much. When I get into it, what we're gonna see is we didn't really do much for the offense in free agency, which is surprising. It's surprising because our offense, especially points per game, that passing offense was ranked in the bottom five. Okay, we had a bottom third offense, but it's tricky. That's the offense is in a tricky position. You have we're supposed to have an offensive guru head coach. Supposed to have ascending first round quarterback, and our offense has been struggling for the past couple years. But I'll go into that more later. But let's go into just the two top moves we did for the offense in free agency. All right. So first, I want to talk about Kenny Pickett. All right. If you know Kenny Pickett, this is, I believe, his fifth team in 5 years. All right. Just hearing that does not sound good. Went from Steelers to the Philadelphia Eagles. He didn't cut out with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Didn't cut it out. They wanted to make him a starter. Tried to make him a solidified starter. Did not work out. Traded him to the Eagles. He was a backup for the Eagles. All right, even the Super Bowl winning Eagles team, he was a backup. Then he got traded to the Cleveland Browns for a wide receiver. Then he got traded again to the Raiders this past season. All right, Steelers, Eagles, Browns, Raiders, and now us. And then we signed him 1 year, 7.5 mil, 4 million guaranteed. Not much. All right, not much. Now, why did we sign Kenny Pickett? Because Andy Dalton was horrible. All right, Andy Dalton was a backup. He's basically done in the league. Even though we managed to trade him to the Eagles, his play, you could tell, I don't buy the thumb injury. I do think his thumb was injured, but Andy Dalton, I think he's pretty much done playing quarterback in the league. Okay, he's just collecting checks at this point. So we signed Kenny Pickett. Now, you had some fans that wanted us to sign a quarterback that could challenge Bryce for QB number one. We did not do that, in my opinion. Right? We signed a clear backup. All right? Kenny Pickett has some of the same similar issues that Bryce Young has. All right, weaker arm. Too inconsistent. Same major problems. And he's basically the same age as Bryce Young. Right? So what's the difference? The difference is the Steelers moved on when they saw Kenny Pickett wasn't it. All right, Kenny Pickett was drafted in the second round. We traded our first rounder to move up to draft Bryce Young. So on the screen you'll see that we have his projected stats. This I got that from PFF in 2022. All right, when he was drafted, 2022. and they actually projected him to be a slow starter. A slow starter and to end up being a decent quarterback later on. Do you know who they compared him to? Andy Dalton. Andy Dalton. So I think from what I've seen, and I think Kenny Pickett ceiling is just extremely low. So even if he somehow was to become a starter or good, I don't think he would be very good. I don't think he's basically your backup. It's hey, if he's in at the beginning of the year, your season is over. Okay, he's not gonna carry the team no matter how good the rest of the team is. Uh, but looking at these projections, 7 yards per attempt, around the league average. Completion percentage, close to the league average. So they predicted he would end up like around an average quarterback. Okay, actually, yards per attempt below the league average, and the completion record below the league average. So they thought below average starter, which I think they were right. So again, why did we sign Kenny Pickett? I have a interesting theory on that. Very interesting theory, but we needed a backup. We needed another quarterback. So we'll just go with that for now. Then our seconds, then another signing. Rasheed Walker, left tackle. Okay, so Icky tore his patella tendon, grew some serious injury. He might not, return the same. Very, very unfortunate injury, especially when Icky was due to be paid this offseason. So we needed a left tackle. Signed Rasheed Walker. Okay, he was hoping for his estimated value was $20 million, $20 million a year. That's what he was hoping for, Rasheed Walker. We got him for 1 year, $4 million. Okay, this already makes it an A++ signing. All right, we signed him for backup money. Now, when you look at his overall grades from this past season, he had around 70 pass blocking grade, 55 run blocking grade, 64 overall. Now, 64 is around average, all right? But when you compare that to the rest of our offense, that would put him like in the right after Mitchell Evans, based off PFF grades. So decent for our offense, but overall average. Average. Pass blocking, average to above average. Run blocking, bad. Okay. And his run blocking grade has been 55 and below every year since he's been in the league. So he's just not a good run blocker. So we signed decent pass blocking tackle, bad run blocking tackle. For the Packers, they were hoping he would ascend into more overall better tackle. He didn't. So that's how we were able to get him. I still like the signing. I actually want him to be a backup. As a backup, I think he's great. I think he's great as a backup. With 1 year, $4 million, you can make him a backup. And I think he can fill in as starter. At least he's decent pass blocking. I'd rather you be a better pass blocker than run block at left tackle. So, now it's clear why we signed him. We needed a left tackle. Icky's hurt. He's out all of next year. Yash, the G-man, retired. That was our backup tackle. We just didn't have any tackles. So, very good signing. But when you look at, and I only want to focus on these two signings, I know we signed the tackle Stone fourth, and I know we signed John Mechie. Those both depth signings. We're not even sure if both are going to make the team. But I want to focus on these two players: Rasheed Walker, Kenny Pickett. Reason being, we really didn't do much on offense to say in free agency. To say our offense struggled was clearly the weak link in our team. We all expected the defense to be the weak link. It ended up being the offense. Defense was average. So what? The offense. I want to share my theory. My theory is the offense is in. There's two bumping heads. Bumping heads with two. It's Dave Canales, head coach, and Bryce Young. All right, bumping heads. And I believe that's why Dave Canales, he gave up play calling duties. Because what he wants to call isn't meshing with Bryce Young well. The style of coaching he wants to do does not mesh well with Bryce Young, his quarterback. But I think Bryce Young has a lot of power in the Panthers building. So you're not going to get rid of Bryce Young. No, we invested. We got to see this all the way through, even to his 5th year. But, quarterback struggling that, well, you would at least try to get another quarterback. Bryce Young has not played well enough for his job to be so secure. But that's where, the draft comes in. If Bryce Young was a 2nd-round pick, I think we would have already tried to get another quarterback. At least someone to challenge Bryce. But we traded away player and 1st-round pick to get Bryce Young. He is close with the Teppers, the owners. All right, we know this. So what are you going to do? Okay? Canales on the offense is like, hey, maybe he'll grow if I just give up play call duties with my offensive coordinator. I think Canales is on the hot seat. Because if you're, we made you the head coach because we wanted you calling the plays. That was the whole excuse for an offensive head coach. Hey, if you have a good offensive coordinator, he's going to go quickly. That's why you make your head coach an offensive one that calls plays, because he'll stay with the team. He can't be snatched up. So let's say Brad is a good OC. He's going to be gone next year. So what's the point of Canales? It's going to be, it's going to be a whole lot of questions and, pondering and wondering what is going on. But we're the offensive side it's in a real conundrum. So are we to believe that, hey, this offense, you keep everybody pretty much from last season except Rico, who was last year was our best offensive player, Rico Dowdle. We let him go, disgruntled. You bring back healthy Chuba, T-Mac with another year, hopefully a healthy Jalen Coker. Will the offense be better? Are we saying, hey, there's another year in the system, the offense should be better next year? I don't know. That's a hard sell for me. That's a hard sell. I believe when your offense is in the bottom third, you have to replace one starter. That's my personal belief. Offense bottom third, even if it's a new system, one starter has to be replaced. And I'm not, I don't give Icky being hurt as that, pass for one side. No. One new starter somewhere. Okay, our passing grade was in 27th. So that means, hey, we need a new tight end starter, a new wide receiver starter, some new starter, new running back starter, new quarterback starter. Starter somewhere. New starter. A potential starter somewhere. We didn't do that. Are we going to do that? I'm going to do a draft video since the NFL draft starts next Thursday. Talk more in depth, but about our potential draft picks, who we could be looking at. But if we draft a wide receiver, is that going to help our offense? Maybe. Maybe we plan to throw in the first round wide receiver. That'll give a boost to our offense. Maybe. There's been a lot of talk about that. But a wide receiver in the first round, 3 years straight, no matter what, that's a horrible look. It's horrible, especially when one isn't playing up to the first round expectations. Everyone goes back to the Lions and Matt Millen. Charles Rogers, Roy Williams, Mike Williams. Right? Charles Rogers and Mike Williams were horrible. Out the league, extremely fast. Roy Williams was decent. I'll say good. Decent and good. Like, what are we expecting to do on offense? Because you can't trot that same crap back out there. Do we expect Bryce Young to make such a leap in play that with same O-line but a worse left tackle, same tight end group, same wide receiver group, you get Jalen Coker, hopefully, for the whole season. You start off with him now as number 2. But you still have XL, Xavier Legette, still have Jimmy Horn. Okay, you got Chuba now. Chuba instead of Rico. Are we saying, okay, Brad is going to coach this team to be better on offense? Maybe. But, hey, if the offense does much better under Brad, then would you consider firing Dave Canales and making Brad the head coach? Would you? Those type of questions that would come up. Comes up in my head. Hey, let's say the offense is top 15 next year. Hey, we need to make sure we keep Brad, isn't it, with the Panthers at any cost. Hey, you want to be head coach? We'll get rid of Dave Canales. It's going to be a lot of bumping heads. It's going to be a lot of confusion. Hey, we draft a wide receiver. Hey, Xavier Legette got to go. If you get rid of Xavier Legette, this looks like, hey, this was a worse version of Armani Edwards. Did we really sign him just to be the local product to sell tickets and make videos and laugh at his accent? That's what it would seem like. Are we not going to give him a third year to try to progress? We knew he was a raw player. His strength is, sadly, Bryce Young's weakness. Deep threat. Are you going to try to make him a run after catch wide receiver, maybe some quick throws. I think Xavier Legette could be decent at that. You haven't tried it with him. It's a whole lot of questions. Now, what would Ace have done? All right, what would Ace have done? Now, I would have tried to get a quarterback that I believe can beat Bryce out. All right, even if he's not able to, try to get a quarterback that I think has a chance to beat Bryce at quarterback. All right, you need real competition. Probably need a new quarterback. All right, when your offense is that bad and your quarterback is not, let's say, the top 5 player on offense, okay, you gotta look at quarterback A. Maybe if I switch another quarterback, maybe the offense could be better. Okay? Better quarterback's going to make the wide receivers look better. Better quarterback's going to make the O-line look better. It's going to make the whole offense. That's the biggest adrenaline shot you can put into an offense. New quarterback. Okay? We know this, Panther fans. All right? Imagine if the Panthers kept Rodney Peete at quarterback in 2002-2003 season. Instead of throwing in Jake Delhomme to reignite the team, we decided to stick with Rodney Peete. All right. Did the team look good under Rodney Peete? Think about that. How the team looked under Rodney Peete, how the offense looked under Rodney Peete compared to Jake Delhomme. Now, maybe we don't sign a quarterback that could beat Bryce out in free agency. Do you try to draft one? Maybe. But, free agency, I don't think we did enough on offense. You gotta look to add one new starter on offense. If it's not quarterback, looking at a passing grade, hey, let's try to sign a wide receiver starter. Okay? Not George Pickens, but somebody. Hey, somebody I think that can beat out Jalen Coker. Would I do that? No. Maybe a tight end starter. Hey, we were looking at David Njoku. Hey, we need a starter at tight end, a true starter. Hey, this guy coming, he is the starter. I believe that's still open. We could do that. But we need something. We need a change on offense. Offense has been sucking too long. Brad becoming the OC and calling the plays. Oh, he's been the OC, excuse me. Brad's calling the plays. Do we realistically think that's going to change much? No, I don't. Might get better. But, hey, if it gets better, that's a whole new list of problems. Like, how long are we going to keep trying to make chicken salad? Okay, let me see if y'all get that analogy. How long are we going to keep trying to make chicken salad? That's the question I want you to ask yourself with this offense. Now, the frat house group, I'm going to have my brother come with me. We're going to, my next video, I'm going to talk about the upcoming NFL draft, who we're looking at, with trends. And we're going to go into deep analysis because we got a short list of who our targets are. And when we go over it, I'm pretty sure it's going to be one of those players that we highlight. So stay tuned. Shout out to the watchers, please like it, subscribe. I'm trying to build up this channel. We're gonna be putting more content. I'm gonna be doing a whole lot more videos soon. So thank you, and like I said, this is the free agent offense and what I think. So thank you. Like I said, like and subscribe. See you guys later.